Hello and welcome to the channel. So we've got a Mesa Boogie here, a Mark 1, and this is a very nice piece of kit. Now this belongs to the customer that we did the Vox AC50 for, and he's been and collected that today, and he's dropped this off apparently from, I'm not sure, but I think he said this had been to another tech, and but there were still problems with it. So we're going to have a look at it. This is really an assessment video. We're just going to look inside this amp, check, see what it needs, and yeah, this is a nice bit of kit to have on the bench. So, and I think all of you have seen one of these before. It's the old Carlos Santana amp, some people like to call it. So we've got volume 1, very stiff. Ooh, yeah. Volume 2, not so bad. Master volume's a bit stiff. Treble, bass, middle. We've got a 100 watt and a 60 watt switch. We've got on and standby. And then we've got power here. Let's have a look at the back. This thing's quite heavy as well. So there we go. Let's have a look inside. A lovely speaker in there. Nice beast of a speaker. Let's have a look at what that is. I have to say, I can't remember the last time I looked at one of these. Kind of forgot really what's in this, what speakers in it, what it's about. So yes, get a very dusty plug covered in gaffer tape. I think the first thing is we'll have that off and just check the fuse in there, but we'll put it on the current limiter. We won't need to bother with that fuse while it's on the current limiter. We've got something here, some kind of bag or something, or a book, I don't know, a manual maybe. You see that? Let's have a look. Oh, it is. It's the owner's manual. Oh dear, the dust. Oh dear, my word. What we got here? Well, that's the owner's manual. And then we've got a set list. Wow. No vintage amp is complete without a set list. Look at that. That's amazing. Absolutely. Let's got all the songs on there. My days. Excellent, that's really cool. And so here's the manual that we've got here. So I think what I'm going to do with that is, and there's a staple gone there as well on there. I think what I'm going to do with that is straighten it all out, dust it off and straighten it all out, try and clean it up a bit, and we can have a look at that. So that should be interesting. I wonder how many people have got one of these amps and have got the owner's manual. So that's cool. So I think the best thing we can do, a spare tube here as well. You can just about see that in there. The spare tube. You can see the dust floating around. My days. My days, we'll have to get the vacuum cleaner in there. So tip that light a bit. So I think we'll get it out its case. I think that's the best thing to do, as it's been stood for a while. I think we'll get it out of the case and we will have a look at the state of the caps and whatever else. And I say it's very dusty in there. Yes. The burr traps are rusty on the tubes, and I think we'll take the tubes out because they're so close to the speaker that when I let the bolts out, they may fall onto that and smash, or at least that one might. So we're very careful taking these out. There we go. So that's the six. What's that say? It's made in China. 6L6 GCR. The base is a bit loose on that. And this looks like a 5881 to me. Getting very careful getting this out. There we go. Well, that's a GE. A GE. There. We just about make out on there. So I have to put some bigger glasses on there. Is that in focus? Yes. Let me get some different glasses. So I'll pop him on there. And that's a 6L6 GC. Of course, this amp's 100 watts, so it should. So is there a tube missing? There is a tube missing. Unless it's somewhere in the case down here. Oh, and hang on. Let's have a feel. Is there something there? And there is, and there it is. So we'll, yeah. Let's get this out of the case now. We're not risking smashing the output tubes. So now I've got those out, so we'll get out of the case and then we'll get it on the bench and have a look. So the speaker is a Jensen Alnico that we've got in this. And I don't want to take this bottom panel off because there is a lot of dust and debris in there. And I really don't want that coming out of there at the minute until we get this, until we come to actually do the work on this amp. Then we can get it outside and just vacuum it out. It won't take long. But what I am concerned about, not concerned, but is this rust on here. What I don't want is that flaking down into the bottom of the speaker there. So what I'm going to do is just drop the hoover on that and just suck it all out now before we start push. It all starts dropping down into the into the bottom of the where the cone connects onto the chassis there. Oh, there we go. That only took a few seconds and we just got that off. There's just no point letting that fall into the speaker. Might as well have it, take it off now. We can take all this apart and clean it, have the speaker out, clean it all up when we service it. So let's get this off the bench and then we'll get the chassis on there and we can have a look. Right, so we can see the chassis now much better, and see the tubes we've got in there, 12X7s and a 1287. Presume that's the phase inverter. We'll have to pull up a schematic. A lot of rust on these, but it'll be no big deal just to take those off and clean them up and just give them a waft of black spray with the aerosol. We've got a pot here which could be the bias, so I'm not going to twiddle with that. Reverb transformer, choke, beautiful big transformers on it, awesome, really nice. And I know some people don't like repairing Mesa Boogies. Some people actually refuse to mend Mesa Boogies, but and they are, you know, the later ones can be a real problem. But this one, I think, is not going to be such a problem, and I'm quite looking forward to when I have to delve into this one. So let's have a look at the chassis. By gum, those transformers, that's some iron on there. So good to see transformers like that. Whoa. So let's just go in and try and get over the top. Right. So the thing we've got to do really is have a close look at these capacitors. This amp's quite old and we need to look at these caps and just check that they're in a good enough order to fire this amp up. So this amp must be from what, around 73, something like that, 1973, somewhere, 4 maybe. See if we've got any codes on these capacitors. We've got a very loose board there before we start. Oh, look at that. So that needs a coat of looking. Oh, it's just on plastic stems there. Don't know, maybe they're all like that, I don't know. So that's something to look at. So I can tell you straight away, this cap's all over here. That doesn't look very good. And this one doesn't look far behind it. But this one And this is going to be difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the amp round like so. Oh my days, that's heavy. And if we come, I'm not going to get much lower with this stand, but I'm afraid if we look at that capacitor, let's zoom in. So if we look at this capacitor, you can see that it looks like it's blown apart, and it's cracked. The metal aluminium case is cracked, and you can see the front of it has popped out. So that cap has actually let go. Fortunately, the gumption hasn't come out of it, but that cap, oh, that is definitely all over. So if we go in here, you can see these. You can see that one on there. All the gumptions coming out of it, and the other one's the same on the other side. If we just zoom around, hang on manual focus, there we go. You can see that the other one is the same there. You can just about make that out. So they've had it. They're absolutely shot. Quite a lot of rust on here on the tube sockets, but they'll clean that off easy enough. Just some corrosion, we'll get that cleaned off. This one, it could be dead short, that one, if it's blown like that. So he needs snipping out of circuit and another capacitor adding if we're going to fire up this amp. Now these two here are 220 microfarad at 300 volts working, which they're in series, so that's like 120 microfarad. I don't think I've got anything like that, to be honest, in stock. I'm just trying to think now if we've got anything. I don't think we have. I think the biggest I've got is 100 at 500 volts working. Right, here's what I've decided to do. I have a 33 microfarad at 500 volts, so that I'm just going to clean all that off, clean it up, and I'm going to solder that in there. And then, just to get this going, I'm going to jumper in a couple of hundreds in series. Just jumper them, cut these out, jumper those in, and then I'm going to clean these round these sockets here before we switch on, because we don't want any conductors between the pins. So to clean those up, just get some of the cobwebs and muck out. These three look okay to fire up on the current limiter. They're not bulging or anything, they're not leaking. So they might not be very good, but they're okay, and we'll just test to make sure they're not short. I'm not even bothering to test the one I took out, and here it is. And you can see that you wouldn't dare fire up with that in circuit, would you? That could easily be dead short, and probably is. So that's nasty. So this amp failed, apparently. I'm sure the customer said it failed soon after it came back from repair, and that's probably what failed. You know, that probably just blew. It was probably just on its way out, and it probably just said good night. So yes, so I've snipped the leads on these already, so we're going to break the seal on them, the glue, jumper in a couple, and then we're going to clean that up, fit that one properly, and that one's done, and just clean off these sockets, because I say we don't want any arcing over on the pins or anything. Right, so that's centre tap there. Just clean that out. I presume it is anyway. Let's see, yeah, that's the ground. So let's try that. $15. $33. And that should be 15. Yep. Little bit more, but that's okay. Yeah, So that's good. So all's good there. So let's see. How's the power on? Yeah, that looks all right. The primary looks okay. Let's just get this plug top off and just see what the condition is inside before we plug in. I just need to drop a couple of, I'm just going to put 2 output tubes in it rather than all the 4. 5 amp fuse, that's okay. Plug looks okay, so that's good. That looks all right. Now we need to get a speaker plugged in and a couple of the tubes. So what we'll do is we'll test these tubes and just see what shape they're in. So basically what I'm checking for, because this cat was in such a state, I was checking to see if that had gone short, dead short, and it had caused any problems anywhere, but it appears not. Let's just let's just check the fuse as well. Yeah, that's fine. And that is the primary fuse. Don't have an HT fuse in here. All the more reason to check if there's any shorts anywhere. So let's get the tube tester up and have a quick look at these tubes then, and see if they're any good, and if this shows up any shorts or anything. Pop that in there. There we go. That's the first one. Not sure what that 606. I think that says GC. We've got the filament lit. Let's just see what we get. He doesn't seem to be doing very well, does he? Oops, is that making the camera flicker? Yes, it is. Let's just remove that a minute, because that as well, if we look, you can see it's come out the base, so that might not be any good. Maybe that was the tube in the bottom of the amp that's been pulled out there. Don't know. Let's try with this one. Yeah. Yeah, so he's a lumberjack and he's okay. So, but again, he's loose in his base. So that one you can hear is obviously, that's toast. That's dead. Doesn't work at all. So let's try this one, this GE. I was hoping this would be a good one. Let's put that on there. Let's try his loins, see if he's any good. And that's coming up, you can see there. Yep, he'll do. So that's a couple of tubes that we've got for test purposes. Let's just try the other one. Now that has got a nice solid base. So we'll pop that in. Oh, sorry, you can't see that, can you? Yep, that one's coming up. Yep, that's okay. So I think what we'll do for test purposes, that's a Softec. So for test purposes, we'll use that one, and the one that's got the loosest base, which is this one here, this GE. So we'll pop a couple of those in, like so, and then we'll pop the other one in here. Right, transformer, 3 wires, plate, and where's the other one going? Green. Yeah, that's okay, and that's center tap. So center tap, plate and plate, so we're in the inner tube sockets there, so that's fine. We've got so let's just have a recap then. So we've got 200 microfarad caps jumping in here, and we've got rid of these, and you can see if you look at that, that doesn't look very let me just tap it. There you can see that doesn't look very good, and the other one's about the same. So we've cut those out, and we've got some caps, as I say, they're just jumping in, they'll be fine. We're on the current limiter. Best not to jump a caps in though if you've not got a current limiter. And we've replaced him. He's so he's done. We've checked the diodes, we've checked the transformer windings. Let's just check the output transformer. Let's just lift this up a little bit. So it's quite late at night now, it's Saturday night, 9:10. I'm not gigging tonight, so I thought I'd just do an assessment on this amp, and I was quite keen to have a go because these are really nice amps. Well, I think they are. Some people may disagree with me, but that's just personal preference. So let's just test the output transformer before we go. Make sure there's nothing on there that's amiss. .33 ohms. Let's try this one. 35.6 ohms. That looks good to me. And the secondary, yeah, the secondary looks okay. We'll be sure when we get the speaker, and that's all we need. We just need to plug a speaker in now, and we should be ready to go with this. So again, with that, you know, with that cap blown out, we have to assume that was short. I didn't bother testing it, I just cut it out, but we have to assume that that's short, and so therefore we've got no HT fuse in this amp. So we need to look around and check that if it's damaged anything. Could be the screen feed actually, because these are in series, so they're probably node 1, and that's probably no. We could actually check that, I suppose, and just see if that is. But anyway, whichever is feeding, we need to make sure if that's blown out and gone dead short, we need to make sure that it's not took any windings out or took the diodes out or anything, because normally the HT fuse would have just popped. We don't have one. So all looks good there. We just need to connect a meter up now. We'll use this meter. Sorry if I'm banging the camera there. I'm trying to set this up. We'll connect. Actually, we'll just connect on there. It's a nice clean and new connection. So that's near enough to monitor the volts. We're not looking for. We're just looking to see what power's going in this and that it's running okay. I think I might just We'll just start with a 40-watt bulb actually. Right, let's plug in. Just double check these capacitors that are jumping in. Yep, nothing's moved, nothing's shorting. Right, let's plug in and off we go. So the 40-watt bulb is quite bright, but it is getting dimmer. We're drawing 120 milliamps, 110 now. I've got 106 volts going into it. So we'll just keep it on that bulb, it's getting dimmer. It's not getting anything on it at the moment at all. Just check. Got 233 volts on that cap. But we've got nothing coming out of it. Yep, so standby is working, but nothing. 111 volts, might not quite have enough volts. Might be a little short. So let's put, I'll just stick another 15 watts in there. I'm going steady with these bulbs. But it shouldn't be too much of a problem. There's only these 3 caps on the preamp that are original, and they don't look bad. They're probably not great, but they should work. So we don't have a bean at the minute. All the controls are up, but there's nothing. Let's check what we've got on there. 148. Yeah. 291 and 290 on there. So that cap there is for the screen there. By those voltages. But nothing. Are the tubes lit? The tubes are stone cold. The output tubes are stone cold. So the preamp tubes are lit, but the output tubes are stone cold, and that probably explains why we've got no voltage difference between the screen and the first node and the second node. We've virtually got no and we're only drawing 140 milliamps, and that's probably the filaments on the preamp tubes. They're working. Filaments on the preamp tubes are working. So let's just see. So we've got 290 on node 1 and 290 on node 2. So yeah, they're definitely not drawing any current, and that's cold. So why is that then? Because those tubes worked in the tube tester. So right, let's switch off. And we've got filaments on the preamp tubes. Yeah, they're warm. But we've not got filament voltage on the output tubes. So why is that? Pin 1, pin 2. Well, let me just check the voltage. Yeah, there's about 67 volts in there. Can live with that. Well, the first thing is that, and I didn't spot that, but now I'm actually looking in here. The first thing is someone's burnt that filament wire with the soldering iron quite severely. So let's just come down, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see that from this distance. I think you can. So I'll just get something to point that out. So the filament wire there is burnt quite badly, and I can see the cable protruding through there. So that's going to require a rewire on that. That one's also burnt there. So whoever was soldering these metal film resistors in there, because you can tell they've been lifted because they've not been soldered flat. Whoever soldered those in there while they were doing it, they've severely burnt that with the iron. That's a bit careless, that. I mean, you know, there's one thing if you accidentally touch it and burn a little bit of it, but that's just burnt so badly. That must have been, the iron must have been resting on that a good bit, because it's burnt right through, and you can see the core inside. So that needs changing, and the other one's burnt virtually right through as well to the core. So there. So why have we not got filament voltage? But we've got it on the preamp tubes. We may need a schematic for this. So we've got like a bus here going through for the filaments. And then we've got a bus on the other side going through there. So let's take some voltage measurements off there. Now I'm just looking where. So yeah, so the wires from the transformer are wired into this PC board here, and then those buses are wired from there onto there. So we need to find out where that voltage is missing. You know, just bring that back so you can see, because there's me trying to do all that and you've still got you zoomed in. So yeah, you've got a ground bus here. You can see this ground bus. So you've got a bus here for the filament voltage, and then you've got another bus here going on the other side, and that's on pin 2. That right? Yeah, pin 2. And that. A couple of pins snapped off there. That's pin 6 that's been snapped off on all of them. Is that pin 6? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, pin 6, pin 7, pin 8 is the cathode, pin 7 the filaments. So that bus is going through there. Yeah, somebody snapped pin 6 off all the tube sockets there. So quite a lot of things wrong with this amp. So let's come down here, see if we can get in there. I don't think we can. I presume that's wired into there and there. What we got on there, you've got, I can't see that now. That's stupid putting that down there. Excuse me if I'm waffling a bit, because I'm trying to think while I'm working. Yes, I've got 4.15 there. So we've got 4 volts, which is 3-4 volts I'd expect to see at that voltage. So we've got that. Is that? So let's just under the amp. So let's test it coming out of there. By gum, it's a bit difficult to get in here, especially with the camera and things. No, so I've got nothing coming off that PC board, but I do believe. So what's going on there? But if I go the other side here, I've got 4.16 AC. Yeah. So it's something to do with the way they've gone into that board there. And no doubt if anybody's worked on one of these before, that may well be a common fault with them. So that's a problem. That is a problem. So we could try and reflow the solder on there. Right, I've reflowed those and we've got voltage on them. So we do have voltage now. We still don't have any sound as such, and the voltage hasn't dropped at all. So the tubes still don't seem to be conducting. So I think we need to go up on the bulbs a little bit on this amp. So let's go up to 100 watts. And now we should see things. So we're drawing 222 milliamps. Let's go up, and you can see we've got 383 on there. Well, we've got 5.36 on the sockets. That's about what I'd expect to see at that voltage. And yes, now I can see that they are lit now. So, but still we have nothing. Duh. I bet you guys in the States that work on these regular spotted that. So I've got the tubes in the inner sockets, and you've got to have it set on the 100 watt setting for that to work. So I needed the tubes in the outer sockets, not the inners. So didn't bargain for that, and just suddenly dawned on me. I thought, and you can hear it now, it's working. Just suddenly dawned on me, what a plank I am. Anyway, we've got it running, and that's why it wasn't running. So on there be the equivalent of not having the tubes in. But we are running now. That pot's very stiff on there, but not very loud. So let's just come back with the camera. And you can see, if we go up now, the plate voltage has dropped there. Wow. Ah, there we go. Well, we're running. There we go. We're up and running, drawing 230 milliamps on 100 watts of bulb. We've got 166 volts going into it. In fact, let's go down. Let's go to 100. So it's not too piercing on the ears. So yes, she lives again. So that was just me being a plank there. So the tubes need to be on the outside. If you're just using 60 watt, the inner tubes run all, the 100 watt setting runs all 4 sockets. The 60 watt setting only runs the outer tube sockets. Just suddenly came to me, and I just thought, click that, and it fired up off camera while I was checking things. So there we go, that's my plank moment for the week. But we're running, that's the main thing. I thought it was strange that it wasn't drawing current, and as soon as I clicked that switch, the voltage went down and it fired up. So it runs. So let's just check a few more voltages then on there. So we've got 345 on there, and I've got, let's just check, and I've got 346, 347 on there. We have got some screen resistors on this amp actually, from where the screens are fed. We've got some 470 ohms. We've got 2 here behind this cap, and we've got another one there. Don't see the 4th one, but it's probably there somewhere. On that, yeah, oh, there it is. 1, 2 there. There's 2 there and 2 there. So we've got screen resistors on the board there. I don't think I've ever worked on one of these before. Can't remember doing. I may have done years ago, but they're quite rare in the UK. You don't see many of these at all. I'm sure you see a lot of them in the States, but in the UK they're quite rare. So there we go. That's looking pretty good. I'm not sure about some of these output tubes in the state. They're not in great shape at all. So let's go up to 140 watts on the bulbs. Just bring a little bit more current in there. A little bit more voltage as well. Now we're drawing 290 milliamps. Let's just turn that down. Yeah, and I don't want to push it, even though technically we have got new caps on it now, apart from these three on the preamp, so we're pretty safe. And I'm going to put 160 watts of bulbs now, so we're up to about 192 volts. You can hear that coming up now, and that'll be enough. It will. So shall we get the guitar and plug it in? And I've not really got this on a great speaker either. And already this sounds splendiferous. Oh yes. Some bass on there. See what? Let's turn up volume 1. Turn the master down and then crank the channel 2. As I say, we've not got it on a fantastic speaker, to be fair, so what's going on with that? You've got to... yes. It sounds like... like in single coil. Oh yes. Didn't quite get that bass line. Never mind, I'm enjoying myself now on this. It's even on a rubbishy speaker. That's sounding really good. And of course I've got it pinned down with the current limiter. So there we go. You're not really looking at much, are you? Just listen to the amp. So that's the Mesa Boogie MK1. That's in a bit of a state, very sick, but it's a lot better than it was. So, bit of a quick assessment now of what needs doing to this amp. I'm just going to switch off and just let the voltage drain out of it, which should go pretty quick now. The tubes are conducting. There we go. That's dropping down 90. Let's go up. And you can see the voltage dropping down there. So we've changed that capacitor, and that's fine. We've cleaned some of the board, but the whole board needs cleaning. We need a couple of 220 microfarad capacitors to go in here. They're absolutely shot. See those? As I say, I've got a couple of hundreds at 450 jumping in there. These three capacitors need changing. We know that. They're simple enough. The F and T 33s will go in there, no problem. So we need 3 of those. So we'll be on the Modulus ordering those. We've got a couple of caps here to change. They might be cathode bypass caps, I'm guessing, but again, I've not got a schematic, so I'm speculating. Got a problem with the board here not being fastened down, but it's not a major problem. Just one of the that's come away from the chassis. The plastic thing there that the PC board sits on. As I said, PC board needs a complete clean, and we've got this issue that we need to make sure we've solved on the way these filament buses come out of this board. I don't really like that. That's probably the only criticism I've got of this, really. Other than that, it's pretty easy to change the components. But I'm going to lift, and I don't fancy lifting that board with those. It might be a bit of a swine to get those back in, but I really could do with looking underneath this board just to make sure everything's okay in there. What else do we need? Obviously the pots want cleaning, sockets. We need to check the preamp tubes, clean those sockets. So there's still quite a bit to do to this amp, but it is looking a lot better than it was at the start of this video. And now at the end of it, we have at least got it running after my plank moment there. That was a bit daft, but I have days like that. But I got there in the end, and that's all that matters. We've got it running. So that's where we are with this amp, and it will be a good few weeks before I get on this and get it finished off probably. And unfortunately these tubes aren't fantastic. We've got one tube here where the bass is okay on, which is a soft tech, and the other three, the bases are loose on them. One of them doesn't even work. It really does need a new set of output tubes, to be fair, and we'll test the preamp tubes. They may be okay, but we'll test those as well. It doesn't sound too bad considering it's on a rubbishy speaker. So I'm going to make this part one. We know it runs. We've tested everything out. We tested all the diodes, all the transformer windings before we switched on. We removed those caps. There was no way we could fire it up with those caps in there. And I did want to fire this up just, you know, just to see what other problems there were besides, you know, besides the caps. And again, we found that filament fault there and so on. And no doubt we may find a few other faults. But that'll do it for this one. Enough for me waffling. So thanks for watching. You all take care. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye for now.